The Midwestern United States, also referred to as the American Midwest or simply the Midwest, is one of the 4 geographic regions defined by the United States Census Bureau, occupying the northern central part of the United States of America. It was officially named the North Central Region by the Census Bureau until 1984, though the region is traditionally defined in a number of ways. The Census Bureau's definition consists of 12 states in the north-central United States: Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, Ohio, South Dakota, and Wisconsin. Illinois is the most populous of the states and North Dakota the least. A 2012 report from the United States Census put the population of the Midwest at 65,377,684. The Midwest is divided by the Census Bureau into 2 divisions. The East-North Central Division includes Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio and Wisconsin, all of which are also part of the Great Lakes region. The West-North Central Division includes Iowa, Kansas, Minnesota, Missouri, North Dakota, Nebraska and South Dakota, all of which, except for Iowa, Missouri and Minnesota, are located, at least partly, within the Great Plains region of the country. Major rivers in the region include, from east to west, the Ohio River, the Upper Mississippi River, and the Missouri River, constituting the main branches of the northern Mississippi River watershed. Chicago is the most populated city in the American Midwest and the 3rd most populous in the entire country. Other large Midwest cities include Indianapolis, Columbus, Detroit, Milwaukee, Kansas City, Omaha, Minneapolis, Cleveland, Wichita and St. Louis. Chicago and its suburbs form the largest metropolitan statistical area with 9.8 million people, followed by Metro Detroit, Minneapolis-St. Paul, Greater St. Louis, Greater Cincinnati, Greater Cleveland, Kansas City metro area, and the Columbus metro area. The term Midwestern has been in use since the 1880s to refer to portions of the central United States. The variant term Middle West has been used since the 19th century and remains relatively common. Another term sometimes applied to the same general region is the Heartland. Other designations for the region have fallen out of use, such as the Northwest or Old Northwest and Mid-America. Economically, the region is balanced between heavy industry and agriculture, with finance and services such as medicine and education becoming increasingly important. Its central location makes it a transportation crossroads for riverboats, railroads, autos, trucks and airplanes. Politically, the region swings back and forth between the parties, and thus is heavily contested and often decisive in elections. After the sociological study Middletown, which was based on Muncie, Indiana, commentators used Midwestern cities as typical of the nation. The region has a higher employment-to-population ratio than the Northeast, the West, the South, or the Sun Belt states as of 2011. Definition. Traditional definitions of the Midwest include the Northwest Ordinance, Old Northwest states and many states that were part of the Louisiana Purchase. The states of the Old Northwest are also known as Great Lakes states and are east-north central in the United States. The Ohio River runs along the southeastern section, while the Mississippi River runs north to south near the center. Many of the Louisiana Purchase states in the west-north central United States are also known as Great Plains states, where the Missouri River is a major waterway joining with the Mississippi. The Midwest lies north of the 36 degrees 30 parallel that the 1820 Missouri Compromise established as the dividing line between future slave and non-slave states. The Midwest region is defined by the U. Census Bureau as these 12 states: Illinois, Old Northwest, Mississippi River, Ohio River, and Great Lakes State; Indiana, Old Northwest, Ohio River, and Great Lakes State; Iowa, Louisiana Purchase, Mississippi River, and Missouri River State; Kansas, Louisiana Purchase, Great Plains, and Missouri River State; Michigan, Old Northwest and Great Lakes State; Minnesota, Old Northwest, Louisiana Purchase, Mississippi River, part of Red River Colony before 1818, Great Lakes State; Missouri, Louisiana Purchase, Mississippi River, Missouri River, and Border State; Nebraska, Louisiana Purchase, Great Plains, and Missouri River State; North Dakota, Louisiana Purchase, part of Red River Colony before 1818, Great Plains, and Missouri River State; Ohio, Old Northwest, Ohio River, and Great Lakes State. The southeastern part of the state is part of Southern Appalachia. South Dakota, Louisiana Purchase, Great Plains, and Missouri River State; Wisconsin, Old Northwest, Mississippi River, and Great Lakes State. The Midwest region of the National Park Service consists of these 12 states plus the state of Arkansas. The Council of State Governments, an organization for communication and coordination among state governments, includes in its Midwest Regional Office 11 states from the above list, omitting Missouri, which is in the CSG South region. Physical geography. The vast central area of the U.S. into Canada is a landscape of low, flat to rolling terrain in the interior plains. Most of its eastern two-thirds form the interior lowlands. The lowlands gradually rise westward, from a line passing through eastern Kansas, up to over 5,000 feet in the unit known as the Great Plains. Most of the Great Plains area is now farmed. While these states are for the most part relatively flat, consisting either of plains or of rolling and small hills, there is a measure of geographical variation. In particular, the eastern Midwest near the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, the Great Lakes Basin, the Ozark Mountains of southern Missouri, the rugged topography of southern Indiana and far southern Illinois, and the driftless area of northwestern Illinois, southwestern Wisconsin, southeastern Minnesota, and northeastern Iowa exhibit a high degree of topographical variety. Proceeding westward, the Appalachian Plateau topography gradually gives way to gently rolling hills and then to flat lands converted principally to farms and urban areas. This is the beginning of the vast interior plains of North America. As a result, prairies cover most of the Great Plains states. Iowa and much of Illinois lie within an area called the Prairie Peninsula, an eastward extension of prairies that borders conifer and mixed forests to the north, and hardwood deciduous forests to the east and south. Geographers subdivide the interior plains into the interior lowlands and the Great Plains on the basis of elevation. The lowlands are mostly below 1,500 feet above sea level, whereas the Great Plains to the west are higher, rising in Colorado to around 5,000 feet. The lowlands, then, are confined to parts of Minnesota, Iowa, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Missouri and Arkansas have regions of lowlands elevations, but in the Ozarks are higher. Those familiar with the topography of eastern Ohio may be confused by this. That region is hilly, but its rocks are horizontal and are an extension of the Appalachian Plateau. The interior plains are largely coincident with the vast Mississippi River drainage system. These rivers have for tens of millions of years been eroding downward into the mostly horizontal sedimentary rocks of Paleozoic, Mesozoic, and Cenozoic ages. The modern Mississippi River system has developed during the Pleistocene epoch of the Cenozoic. Rainfall decreases from east to west, resulting in different types of prairies, with the tall grass prairie in the wetter eastern region, mixed grass prairie in the central Great Plains, and short grass prairie towards the range shadow of the Rockies. Today, these three prairie types largely correspond to the corn, soybean area, the wheat belt, and the western rangelands, respectively. Although hardwood forests in the northern Midwest were clear-cut in the late 19th century, they were replaced by new growth. Ohio and Michigan's forests are still growing. The majority of the Midwest can now be categorized as urbanized areas or pastoral agricultural areas. Prehistory. Among the American Indians, Paleo-Indian cultures were the earliest in North America, with a presence in the Great Plains and Great Lakes areas from about 12,000 BC to around 8,000 BC. Following the Paleo-Indian period is the Archaic period, the Woodland tradition, and the Mississippian period. Archaeological evidence indicates that Mississippian culture traits probably began in the St. Louis, Missouri area and spread northwest along the Mississippi-Illinois rivers and entered the state along the Kankakee River system. It also spread northward into Indiana along the Wabash, Tippecanoe, and White rivers. Mississippian peoples in the Midwest were mostly farmers who followed the rich, flat floodplains of Midwestern rivers. They brought with them a well-developed agricultural complex based on three major crops: maize, beans, and squash. Maize, or corn, was the primary crop of Mississippian farmers. They gathered a wide variety of seeds, nuts, and berries, and fished and hunted for fowl to supplement their diets. With such an intensive form of agriculture, this culture supported large populations. The Mississippi period was characterized by a mound-building culture. The Mississippians suffered a tremendous population decline about 1400, coinciding with the global climate change of the Little Ice Age. Their culture effectively ended before 1492.